we're back, I think.
Hey guys, we're back. Sorry about that, a little technical difficulty. You know, Facebook changes its algorithms and its processes just to keep everyone on their toes, and now we are on our toes.
So let's dive right back in then.
Yes, please.
We're talking pilot season and how it's different this year more than others.
And before we do that, because Steve, you can talk about that again, and if you were with us before and you're rejoining us, we're just going to say a couple of those things again. But here's, part of the fun that we're going to have today. We're going to ask you to comment below in one word. How does pilot season make you feel? Just the anticipation of it, the words together of it, write down and if you do that, you'll be eligible for a free pilot season playbook, which is our program that we're launching on the 22nd. It's a series of audios and worksheets and resource guides to help guide you through pilot season, and we've done it the last couple of years, and it's been really fantastic to see how actors have been empowered by this, educated by this, and feel like we have their back, and that they have a group of people through the Facebook group and through the process that we're taking you guys through to help make this pilot season, any pilot season that you're in, but primarily this one right now, a place where you can surprise yourself and do your absolute best work and have the information so that you can relax and get back to your artistry and your sense of your career. So we're going to offer some free pilot season playbooks. So if you comment below, Felipe, who's off camera, say hi, Felipe.
Hey.
He will randomly choose from your comments, and in the next 15 minutes we will announce a winner of the pilot season playbook for free, because we really want you to have this information in this guide.
And just to give you a sense, the pilot season playbook emerged out of suffering. It emerged out of Risa and me
confusion and,
every single year on either side of the camera of all this, and seeing friends, people we love, family members be devastated and drown in the expectation of pilot season, not have that expectation met, or alternatively, get what you want, which can arguably rip your soul out by the time you've gone through the testing process 4 times and still not sure whether your show will get picked up. So it's a hideous process. In a lot of ways, it's an antiquated model. And
dinosaur.
And it touches all the triggers and lays all the traps for your desperation, for a tease at the dream, because it can offer that too. And so there's a better way, and a way that doesn't have to rip your soul out, which we're excited to share with you.
Yeah, and so today we're going to update some of that for you, talk about what 2018 is and what that brings and why this pilot season is different from other pilot seasons before, and how it's the same, and how you can do your best work during this time and just get sane and calm and creative and empowered.
Yeah, and so if we want to address 2018 generally, it's a different pilot season than others in a few different ways, and we'll talk about that, maybe a couple of them. The first, as we mentioned before, is this rising consciousness in our hashtag MeToo world, and about race and gender and orientation. There's a lot of ways in which the work that emerges this year, the pilots that emerge this year, will be perceived differently, even if they've been in the pipeline for 10 years or a writer wrote it a long time ago. The work is different now. That innocuous discussion between a man and a woman where the man's being a jackass, there's no denying that misogyny is in and around us now. And so you, the actor, approaching that work, will have it perceived differently, even in these rooms, no matter who's in these rooms. The expectation will be different. And in that, there's a power vacuum. People are unsure about where this is all going, and so there's never been a better opportunity, I think, and I have all my blind spots, obviously, but I think there's never been a better opportunity for you, the actor, to show up with your instincts, with however you perceive this material, walking into that audition room or that self-tape and offering your truth in this, which is really exciting.
It is, and a couple of questions that I have, or comments as well. One is, and this is something for you guys to think about, because we don't have the answers, we're asking the questions ourselves. Why is it that we're walking into or entering into 2018, and therefore this pilot season, sometimes somewhat paralyzed or numb, because we're coming out of the end of last year, which was just so full of anger and anxiety and a sense of how do we express this new sense of power? How do we articulate our voices at a time when we're being asked to as artists?
Sure. It's a hard thing to comprehend, and and again, here we are, two people who come from privilege, and people who are going to be walking into those rooms. Some people have been dealing with some of this stuff for a long time. So there's a lot of unknown in all this for everyone. But what I do know is that there is a vacuum in there. They're looking to you, right?
More than ever.
More than ever. They were doing it before. They
didn't really know that.
Right.
It didn't have a hashtag.
Right. But now they need you to walk in and have a really clear point of view about this, and offer your truth about what's going on here. If all of the questions in a scene are asked by the woman, thereby giving her an opportunity to not be as smart as she possibly could, now more than ever you can address that and turn those questions into statements and take your power back and take your intelligence back.
We were working in class last night on a scene just like that, and we talked about asking the question with a need to know, rather than being in a place of, if you tell me, that would be really great, but with an absolute demand for an answer, with whether you're offering that answer or not. And I will say, I've talked to a number of writers who are working on things this pilot season, a few producers and studio executives, and they're all talking about scripts, even scripts that they've picked up or that they have been giving notes on since September. The notes have been changing over the holidays. The notes were about, well, make her stronger, or make sure the lead in this show is not a white guy, and not just in terms of color, but in terms of world and experience, and it's some of these are male white
that's right
people, writer producers who do come from privilege and have been making some cash, or if they haven't suffered the way or struggled and in that same way. And so the notes that are happening are in that direction. And these scripts are going to start changing rapidly now and throughout the rest of this pilot season, which is cool, but it also speaks to the fact that the work is really unformed and unclear,
right.
And so that really means that you not only need to, but you have this incredible opportunity to show up and to say, this is what I think this is right now. This is what's stirring in me, in my soul, in my heart, in my consciousness. This is my point of view about this, and to offer that and to bring that into the room and to collaborate with these people who are all in the great unknown and figuring out a way to express themselves. So this is a chance for you to do that. How you do that, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
As we go. So that's cool. It's exciting, and it's important to address that and not to sit in the paralysis or even the apathy of the unknown. Because I know myself, coming into 2018, I didn't know what any of this was, and not that one day is going to change everything January 1st, but because we go into award season and pilot season and some of the film festivals, there's this whole celebration of work that's being done or about to be done.
Right.
It starts to make you somewhat afraid or limited in how you perceive yourself as a part of that.
And pilot season has always reflected the times, like we said that earlier, and yet now more than ever it feels like it's undeniable. It can't ignore them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing, even if it is, because people say things are changing and it's a rising consciousness, but the statistics still come back that it's white and male for the most part, overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So and yet if they're trying to be more quote unquote inclusive, then they're going to need actors to walk in that room and show them what that means, and
right.
and take that script,
right.
and say,
That's
no,
right.
you can't write me, so here's what that
me.
is,
Yeah.
which is exciting for actors and pilots. They're going to need that, actually.
So let's just see how we're doing. We're about how many minutes into this on this new platform here?
About 5 minutes in.
5 minutes in. Okay. And how are we doing with comments?
Oh, great.
Okay. So guys, continue. We're going to just remind you again. So in everything that we're saying, that might be triggering some stuff for you. So how does pilot season, how does the concept, the word, the time of year, how does pilot season make you feel? In one word, comment below. And you can win a free pilot season playbook. If you've just tuned in, it is our program where we address all of this and we offer you information, intel, guidance, and support, and some direction in terms of how you can make this pilot season yours.
Sure. So let's maybe start getting into some of the 4 ways in which you can be successful this pilot season. And
we have more than 4, but we're going to put them into capsules.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can under the circumstances here. I mean, it's a massive thesis, how you book work, and it's more interesting than just a blog about the 4 points.
Right.
Do these things, and then as if there's some mathematical formula to it, and that's part of what the pilot season playbook is. It's a longer guide to some of the nuance of all this, and how to lean yourself towards success and be available to it, outside of some sort of formula and all this. But the first one, and this is first and foremost, is self-care. And it can sound all self-helpy and like it can tweak the type A's of the world who are no I'm going to do this, I'm going to forge ahead, and I'm going to take pilot season. We get that, we say some of that, and while that inspiration and enthusiasm is great, if you don't have a structure that can manage the emotional ups and downs of pilot season, and that structure looks like however it looks for you, but eating well, sleeping well, having some sort of physical exercise that connects your body and your mind so that you can wake up every day and not be wrecked from the day before, that is essential. And we have seen people, either those who don't get out for pilot season at all, but wallow in the depression of that, and that leads to eating poorly and sleeping poorly and sitting on the couch all day every day. That leads to more suffering and doesn't keep you available and in the type of work when the industry does come calling that's going to book work. The other side of that is that if you're auditioning 5 times a day, and people don't tell you this, right? Like, the better you do, the more difficult it gets, actually, because now you're testing and being rejected more times. Yeah. But when that happens for you, there may not be time for sleep. There may not be time, so you think. There may not be time to eat well. Well, now's the time to create that structure and that schedule that you can lay back on, so that the ups and downs of the business, and your agent frantically calling you saying you got to be there in 5 minutes and it's a blah blah blah, whatever they do, and all of that stuff that can trigger you, you want to be in the practice of some sort of structured self-care, no question.
And you have to be a warrior in this, and even if you're not getting tons of auditions, or if you're not a part of this, the frenzy of what pilot season can be for some people, because again, just to remind you all, pilot season is somewhat of a myth, even though it's these 3 months where a bunch of pilots are being made for the networks. There's work happening, especially in television, which there's a lot of televisions happening all year round. So this is something that you need to be doing for yourself all year round, just so you're a whole, so you are a whole happy actor, artist, creator, individual, and each of these points that we're talking about takes a lot of practice and a lot of attention, and so we want you to outline for yourself, and when you get off this Facebook Live, to outline for yourself what those things are for you to do, so that you can practice and apply that kind of self-care. And you know yourselves well enough to know what that is for yourselves, and some of you have made New Year's resolutions about that, but really think about what you need to do to take care of yourself, and to be in the practice of whole and loving self-care for yourself.
Right. Oftentimes, what it means ultimately is having some sort of life outside of the ups and downs of the industry. And if you live and die by the industry, your emotional life, physical life, all of that is so affected, obsessively affected by the validation or invalidation you get from the industry. You're not going to have a good time, and you're not going to put yourself in a position to book work, because you're going to be wrecked. The tank will not be full. You're
going to be waiting as opposed to being active on your own behalf. I know that for myself, that if I wake up in the morning and I go to my computer and I start dealing with all of that stuff coming at me, and then suddenly I have to rush off and come here or go wherever I have to go, and I haven't practiced that, I haven't taken care of myself, the day's a struggle. So however busy you are, whether you're incredibly busy or not busy at all, this is a hugely important part of this. Right. And we have a lot of information about that too in the 10-day Actors Challenges that we have done in the last couple of years, where we offer that kind of support and 10 days challenge of self-care.
It's necessary. So the second...
before we do the second one,
let's
just check with Felipe and Andy. Say hi, Andy. He's here too. So he's actually posting as me. How am I doing there? Are you doing well as me over there, Andy?
I'm doing great as you were.
Yeah, great. Well, let me know how it goes, because then maybe I can be you being me.
Yeah.
And Felipe, how are we doing?
We've got our first winner.
We do?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, okay.
That's exciting.
That's exciting. So, everybody, we're going to announce this first winner. And before we do, we just want to say a couple things. One is, stick with us till the end, because we have more things to offer you at the end of this Facebook Live. Stick with us. And if you float away to check a comment on Facebook or some other social media platform, Instagram or the like, come back, because we'll be here for a little while longer, and we're going to be offering some more great stuff to you, aside from this conversation. Felipe, who is our winner?
Our winner is Wahane Inello Clayton.
Wow,
Hey,
congratulations.
Wahane,
that's exciting.
We're excited for you. Thanks for being a part of this.
You're going to get a free pilot season playbook.
Yeah, so what we'll do is what we're going to ask you to do, Wahane, is we're going to ask you to email us at info@BraymanGarciaBraun.com, and if, Andy, you can just throw that up there in the comments, Andy as Risa as Andy, and we'll just email us, and then we'll take care of you, and we'll get you all that and get you set for the 22nd. What, Felipe, was his feeling that he put up there?
Oh, let me look for it. We've got a lot of comments, which is really exciting.
Oh, good. And so listen, if you didn't win this, the winning is in the doing. The winning is in the expression of yourself. The winning is in the participation of all this. You've already won.
I mean, it's nice to get a free playbook. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, totally. But I don't want people,
I know what
you know. I mean,
and we're giving away more. So,
are we? We're going to give away another one in a minute,
right.
or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
His comment was opportunities.
Nice.
Okay, opportunities. Opportunities that, you know, we all need to create for ourselves as well. We're going to get there in one of our...
More in that in a second.
More in a second. All right, so this is what we're going to do, you guys. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to do this again. So we're going to ask you to comment. And if you commented before, comment again. You may feel differently, you know, a little bit later into this.
Sure.
One word, how does pilot season make you feel? The word, the concept, the notion of it, what we're talking about, your idea of what it is. Just in one word, what is the feeling that comes up when you hear, see, or read pilot season? So comment, and we will offer another pilot season playbook. And you want to?
Yeah, let's get back to. You want to get back to the
number two.
Yeah, right. So these are 4 things that we think, 4 of many that we think lead to pilot season success. And the second one, and this is tricky, is killing the dream. So you come here to Los Angeles or New York or wherever you do to really get this thing right. You've given up so much, and you're going to attack it. And you've got a dream in your head, fame and fortune and booking a TV series and getting paid to be an actor, which is exciting. And yet, living too much in that place, particularly around pilot season where the dream, I mean, you can taste it. And
people come here, a lot of you guys come here for pilot seasons, or this notion if you're going to come here for the winter months from wherever you are, and you're just going to be here for 3 months, and your lives are going to change, and the dream is going to be fulfilled.
And all of it is that moment when I book the thing, when I get discovered in the pharmacy or whatever else. And what that can do, left unchecked, is take you to a place of always being somewhere other than right here, right now. And in the interest of acting careers, which is our interest, not booking that one thing that may or may not get you past one season, in the interest of an acting career, that is something that happens by virtue of doing amazing work and artistic exploration step by step by step, every day, every moment, waking up every day and creating something consistently. That's the kind of thing that creates a ripple effect, particularly in Los Angeles, which is ultimately a small town.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we believe has to happen. You have to push back on that, especially around this time when agents or managers or just people in the ether are giving you this expectation that now is the time to book that thing, and as if this is some sort of lottery win. Or
if you can magically pull it out of your ass, just to say, I'm going to walk in that room, I'm going to book that thing, I'm going to make my agent happy, I'm going to make my mom happy, you know, I'm going to fulfill the bank account, and I just, give me the tips and tricks, and I'll just do it right now.
Right.
That's not the notion here.
And even as you approach, so the scene comes in, right? The email comes in for the self-tape, or for you going in for that audition a little bit later on that week. Even as you approach that work, if you're not approaching it from a place of profound presence, from your artistic instincts, and moving before you do that to a place of, oh, if I book this, you're already spending the money in your head, then your work is going to suffer. And so we recommend coming back to the practice of artistic exploration and artistic expression within the confines of presence, here, now. How do you feel now? What is this script doing for you here, now? As opposed to reading all the other stuff like the breakdown, which creates a target. This is a massive network, or even if it's a guest spot or whatever for you, it creates this external target in the future that takes you out of your artistry.
And the work that you're doing is external. So it's hard to really imagine what that feels like unless you do it. But it's really coming back to the work that you love to do and the work that you may be doing when you're creating your own stuff, you're in rehearsal for a play, you're in class, where you're actually doing the work of artists and you're not worrying about servicing or satisfying your agent, your manager, your mother, the casting director, the breakdown, or some description that some writer wrote in 5 seconds, right, just to do a shorthand about what this is, that you're really coming back to that kind of work. And if you don't know what that is for yourself, let's start to figure out, again, write down 5 ways for yourself that you can explore that right now during a time when you think you're supposed to be running around getting new headshots or sending out tons of postcards so people know where you're at. We're not saying you shouldn't do those things, but the work of coming back to who you are and what the expression of your artistry is, and where any piece of material affects you, and that kind of wonderful work that frees you and that allows you to find joy in this and express yourself fully. That's what we advocate for, and focus on that and not the idea of what pilot season success is, or grabbing that series regular role, or even having enough auditions to qualify.
The truth is, pilot seasons come and go, and your artistry can be forever. And there's this interesting time right around September when some of the pilots have been picked up and you see them, and the whole town was almost on the verge of heart attack, trying to get this thing cast and trying to get their clients in for this. And then you see it and you go, oh, okay. It's interesting that we were living and dying by this particular pilot.
Thing, crashing our cars about it.
These things are not fully fleshed out. It's not a 3 months of incredible focus. Oftentimes, it's about just getting the job done under the circumstances. So just know that if you do the work, be in the practice of being present, that's going to get you closer to your goal rather than getting lost in the dream of all this thing.
And we talk about that more in the Pilot Season Playbook itself, the series of audios and worksheets that we're launching on the 22nd. Again, we just want you to have this information. We want you to have that support. And we work on that a lot here at the studio, in class, and in everything that we do, because we've seen for ourselves and for our actors how that supports them and brings them back to themselves and to doing their most powerful and specific and joyous work. So again, if you're just joining us, or if you've done it already, you feel free to do it again. Comment how all this is making you feel, just in one word. What's being triggered in all of this? And that also brings you to presence and not to the future of this, or where you're headed even later in the day.
You want to work on one more, and then we'll
okay. And then we'll check in with Felipe.
Here's the next one.
How's it going there?
Wonderfully.
Okay, good. Okay.
Here's the next one, and this one again, this is not easy, because people have so much expectation, and we're asking them seemingly to pull back on that expectation, but only pull back on in the interest of focusing on the work that matters.
The things that matter, yeah.
Here's the next one, which is reworking what pilot season means for you.
Yeah.
And in that, taking command of pilot season. What do we mean by that? Well, so many people think that pilot season is something that happens to them, or not.
Yeah. Or they're on the inside or outside of it. This thing. Yeah.
Right. What we recommend during pilot season, and this is explained in great detail and focused, and you're guided through this in the pilot season playbook, is to make these 3 months during pilot season a time of unprecedented creative output by you. And in that, taking command of these 3 months. So starting with a creative goal, a script, a website, whatever that is for you, creating a schedule of accountability. And by the way, we do all this in the pilot season playbook.
We do. We help you through that, yeah.
And this is parallel to outside of the industry, whatever the industry is doing, you're going to create your own trajectory that is satisfying to you, that lights you up, that keeps you in the practice of the work, and execute that throughout this 3 months. Here's the amazing thing that does. It pulls focus away from this thing, this pilot season, and this industry, which is fleeting and often disrespectful, seemingly, and often indifferent to you, and it puts you in command. 2 things happen. One, if the industry does bestow its light upon you and say, hey, we want to invite you to come in to audition for this pilot, you are in the practice of command. You're in the practice of artistic expression for its own sake. And so you're already primed and ready to go, and that audition that comes in has less weight because you're strong, you're training. And the other thing is, it's the most interesting thing when someone walks into an audition room and they're in the practice of leadership, of command, of confidence from the work that they're doing. it shows.
Absolutely.
It limits your desperation when you've created your own work and you're pursuing it doggedly, and then the industry calls you and you walk in, because you walk in like a leader. You walk in like a collaborator, like someone who is on their own level, because you're creating the industry for yourself. So
you have so much more to offer because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So because alternatively, if you're waiting, again, if pilot season is something that happens to you or not, and you get called in for the self-tape or for the audition in person, you're expecting them to fill your artistic tank. You're expecting them to... And then you show up with desperation, with a need that creates an imbalance.
And that one moment takes on way too much importance. I just saw that happen with an actor who actually works with us at the studio, and she's also a writer, and she just wrote this amazing script. And in writing it, it's not that she got the validation from other people, but she finished this thing that she'd been working on for over a year, and just the fulfillment of that and the excitement of what she created, and now going into a massive rewrite because she got lots of notes. She walked into the audition room, and she was different. She was just strong and centered and present and only cared about the connection that she was having in the moment. And we talked about it afterwards, and she attributed to the fact that she'd been writing this script that she was really excited about over the past year. And we've seen that over and over and over again. And you know what's really cool? Again, I'm going to the award shows only because that can be a place of, you get the popcorn and the wine and you sit and you watch it, or you go to a friend's house or at a party, or you get to go to the HBO party or whatever that is for yourself. But you still somehow feel outside of that. And you get inspired by Oprah and Alice and Janney and everybody else. But at the end of the day, the thing that I'm realizing more and more, especially with the kind of movies and TV shows that are being applauded and awarded, is it's people who are creating work from scratch and not being hired necessarily by a network to create a formulaic procedural show. These are people who have a really strong voice of their own, who are coming out of seemingly nowhere, Greta Gerwig's been doing this for a while, but she just said, this is my voice, and I am now going to express that. And young and not so young artists are expressing themselves and creating work, and that is being seen, and that is exciting, and it is the new norm. So you may as well start doing that, and it can be anything. You don't have to write some massive screenplay or do your Aziz Ansari show necessarily if that feels too big. Just start small, and it, like with any career and with any creative output, it grows and it builds, and it's so friggin' exciting.
Yeah, and I think it can be counterintuitive because some actors think, no, I need to clear the schedule for pilot season in case it happens to me. Yeah. So let's keep ourselves wide open.
Yeah. And just go to the gym and not travel.
That's the opposite of what you should do.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you should fill all of your time with artistic exploration. Every single day, create a schedule for yourself, and not obsessively, but be in the love and the passion of creating something that is in your heart. And then what happens is that if someone says, hey, by the way, we want you to come do this pilot, then you stop doing what you're doing, if that makes sense for you, and you go do this pilot, and you're full, and you're in the practice, and then you come back and finish this.
And you can't wait to get home to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's essential, this kind of stuff, just to keep you from going to those dark places, to keep you from waiting, because pilot season favors leaders. It favors people who are bold, who are willing to step up and create the industry for themselves.
And people in those rooms, I can't even stress this enough, by the time they get to the middle of pilot season and they can't find a location and their budgets are too high and they've gotten so many rewrite notes and they've been spinning around and trying to grab crews for wherever they can, and they're making compromises, they feel, over and over again, and all they want is for you to walk in that room with leadership and to say to them, I got this, this is what I see in this, let me offer this to you, let me collaborate with you, and they not only feel relief, but they are so taken care of, and then they go, oh, okay, somebody's here doing what they're supposed to do, and reminding me on the other side of whatever table or line you may perceive, reminding me that that's why I created this thing, that's why I'm in this business, that's why I'm doing this pilot, that's why I'm a part of this experience. And so then you get to tell them what this is, and you get to bring them back to their creative souls.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's give away another PSP, yeah?
Oh, yes? Yeah, okay.
The next winner is Marianne Liu.
Oh,
Marianne Liu.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You win a pilot season playbook for free. So
So what did she say? What was pilot season for her?
Pumped in caps.
Wow,
Pumped in caps.
All those caps. Great.
Great. So what we want you to do is email us at info@BrainmanGarciaBraun.com. And Andy, posting as Risa, as Andy, will you put the email back in?
Absolutely.
So you can send us an email, and we'll get you your pilot season playbook and get you ready for January 22nd, 2018.
And what we're saying, even in terms of this all caps pumped, which I love, all of these feelings, whatever they are, and people are, we're getting anxiety and curious and pumped and all that sort of stuff, it has to be translated into action. It has to be translated into the doing of artistic expression. There can be no waiting in any of this
and
at all.
If it feels like too much for you, or it feels like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start on Monday because it's now Friday. You know what? When you're done here, just find some quiet place and journal for 5 minutes, and just let all those feelings and thoughts get onto the page. Then go for a walk or a hike, or do something where your body is connected to your emotional life. You're doing something mindful, physical, and then come back and write a blog, write a story, write a one-page scene. Keep journaling, but just start to get yourself into the practice of creating, because you got to start somewhere. You can't run the marathon and go write your opus, your screenplay, starting Monday. Now maybe you can, maybe you're in the middle of it. Maybe this is just about, I'm going to take that thing out of the drawer. But we all know about procrastination, and we all know about, I'll do, scheduling that in. Schedule like crazy, but start now. Just do something. Get a taste of what that feels like. Remind yourself that you're able to do this. And if you feel like you need to collaborate, I know I do. This kind of creative work I do with and among other people. Call somebody. Connect with somebody. Find somebody to collaborate with. Even just get together for a coffee or a beer and start to talk about what you want to create. Things have been created on napkins in bars over the years in the most productive way, so don't underestimate the power of collaboration.
Next point, self-tape mastery.
Before we do that, I just want to say, let's do another. Should we do another?
We can definitely do another one.
Because we have people participating.
Give us a couple more seconds, and we will have.
Yeah, so let's do that. We're just going to do one more of our thoughts about this, and then we'll come back and we'll give another. And please stick with us to the very end. We're going to open this up to Q&A in a little bit, and we have some other things to offer you at the end of our talk. So stay with us. And what you should do, even if you've done it before, is comment below in the comment section. How does pilot season make you feel? One word.
Self-tape mastery.
So important.
Right. Because,
why is that?
Because showrunners are watching your auditions on the 405 now as they're driving.
We
the self-tapes.
Advise them not to.
Do not do. But they do. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. But they do watch on their phones a lot, and there you are. So how do you show up there?
More than ever, self-tapes are the new norm, right? That's what's happening. So the first thing of it is that you got to get your mind around it, whether you're technologically astute or whether you say to yourself things like, "Oh, but I'm just better in the room," or "But I need direction." All of that stuff, which just limits you from making an amazing self-tape. You have to get rid of all that and just give yourself to that amazing process of, I get to create today, and this is the medium in which I'm creating.
That's right. Yeah. So just know that even we've had a lot of questions about this, and even you may have questions about that. Should I do a self-tape if nobody asks me to? What if my agent can only get me a self-tape but not in the room? Just know that things have changed, and let's embrace them. Let's not just say that they shouldn't be that way. I remember the days when they weren't that way, and I there was value to that, and there's also value to this. And what this does in aligning yourself with the notion of leadership is it gives you an opportunity to do your work on your own and not have to wait to be called into any room, or even come into a room and get some direction from people who, like myself even, don't know what anybody wants because things are still in their infancy stages creatively. So this gives you an opportunity to play on your own and to do that. We also have a talk about self-tapes that we're going to actually throw up here. So Andy, as Risa, as Andy, would you put up the link to our self-tape Intel talk? We're going to talk about that a little bit more now as it relates to pilot season, but we're going to give you this link. So if you're interested in this, go to the link now or later preferably, and you'll have access to that chat.
Yeah, so one of the big things that comes up in self-tapes is that they can feel like they're happening in a vacuum, and you don't have that feedback or those notes or that direction. So in that, it can feel rudderless if you're not willing to take command of that audition and say, I don't have an objective sense of what this is, in as much as there's no objective right in any scene, but this is where I'm going with this, and give yourself to that. Give yourself to your choices, not obsessively. Self-tape is not an opportunity to do 64 takes of it, but you have to. It requires you to step up and be your own director, and to take that opportunity to show up with your power. And the internet is rife with self-tapes of fancy people who booked big jobs, and what they have in common is leadership. And so the self-tape must happen with leadership. And
doing the work the way you want to do the work. So the great freedom in all of this is you get to do your take. You know, if you were making a movie or a web series with a friend or a group of friends, you would have a certain mindset about that. So why not bring that mindset into your living room or your bedroom, wherever you're doing this thing, as long as we can see you and hear you. We were talking to Jeannie Backrack the other day, who was here working with us in class. She kept saying, I just need to hear you. You know, and we need to hear the person off camera and all that stuff. And I wanted to just refer to this experience that I had recently. We were interested. We were casting a guy in his 70s to play a dad in a show, a wonderful role. And we put the word out to some actors who you would recognize from years, decades in the industry, who have done amazing work, and we did ask them to read because that's what the show creator wanted, and it made sense just to get a sense of where they were now in the work. And what happened was a bunch of these guys decided to self-tape. They lived in Oregon, or they were out of town, you know, one guy was on a cruise with his wife, and he did it from the cruise. But these guys have never self-taped before. They didn't know what it was. So what was coming into us were these self-tapes that looked like the take of that actor doing his work, and some of them were in very odd locations, but it was fun, and they were reading off camera with family members or whoever. And I asked this one guy, who actually did come in the room later because he was in town, and he said, well, I'd love to come in. I said, your self-tape was great. He goes, no, but I want to come in anyway because I'm here. And I said, great. So I asked him what his process was. He says, you know, I've never really done much of that self-taping thing, but I read the material. Someone told me I had to put a camera on me and talk to someone off camera, so I just did what I would do if I went to work. I did learn my lines, I made some decisions, and I engaged in the scene with the person off camera, which is what I do when I show up on set. And he said it was the same thing. Did I do it wrong? I said, no, not at all. But all these guys did the most amazing work because they didn't know how to do it any other way other than the way they go to work when they're hired to do something. And I found that liberating and really exciting. And 2 of the 10 guys who did it were cast in different roles just based on that and, of course, their body of work. But that just really taught me something about the fact that you don't have to stand in front of a white wall and present the words, you know, in some kind of way that feels stiff or artificial or planned or controlled at all. You got to do the work you would do if the camera was on you and you were hired to do the job. You are hired. This is your time in front of the camera. But
that stale, inartistic stuff that happens oftentimes in self-tapes comes from actors wanting to get it right, thinking that there's an answer, thereby creating a box, trying to fit in the box, blah, blah, blah. If you don't know that you should do anything but just come back and do your work. Yeah. So some of this is the unlearning. It's managing that desire for control and all your big feelings around it. I mean, what we're saying here ultimately is that the suffering of pilot season can be managed and success can be found if you come back to the work, if you come back to your beautiful instincts, to the passion and love of your art.
And make it exclusively about that. And whatever an agent or manager or some blog may tell you about, well, you have to be in a neutral space and a white wall, and all that, and you have to light it a certain way. All that stuff is useful, as long as it doesn't interfere with your full creative expression.
Right. Absolutely.
So anyway, check out a little bit more about the self-tape intel, and it's a really amazing way for you to express yourself on film, on tape, without limitation. So, do we have another winner?
We do. Tanya Verifield.
Tanya.
Oh,
great! Congratulations, Tanya.
You've won a pilot season playbook.
Yeah. What did Tanya say?
Growth.
Great. So, this is about taking action, grow and act from that place. Andy,
I think that's the only thing you can expect out of this industry or out of pilot season is exploration, discovery, and growth. That's it, which is exciting.
Yeah. And if you can come back to that in the work and not think beyond that, because the result of that will be the kind of work that books work, then you'll be in the present moment of creating. So, Tanya, would you email us at info@BraemonGarciaBraun.com. Andy, as Risa, as Andy, will you put our email once again into the comments for Tanya? And we will set you up for the playbook that starts on January 22nd. We're excited to share that with you. And again, we're giving this stuff away for free or for a discount that we're going to announce in a minute. Because we want you to feel the support, have the intel, the information, and the direction so that you can make this pilot season your own, your very own. Okay, so let's open it up to some questions. And just before we do that, this is what we're gonna mention this. For the next hour, as soon as this call, from now until, right, Andy? From now we can start it now. From now until an hour from when we close, which we're going to offer you the Pilot Season Playbook at 50% off the price, which will give you the playbook for only $64.50, which is for 3 series of audios and worksheets and resource guides and a phone call with us to answer all your questions on February 9th. So these roll out for 3 weeks in a row, and it's a pretty cool price, I think, for a pretty good product.
Well, I think like the big value in this thing that I see, and this is what we tried to create in this, is a sense that someone's there with you. That you're not doing this alone, and the community that we create around the Pilot Season Playbook helps with that. And then, and this is a really big one, is accountability. That we're going to outline what we believe leads you to success, but there's an element of the Pilot Season Playbook that allows for accountability too, so that within that community you stay on track and stay focused on what you need to do.
So be a part of that, because we've seen a number of actors go through this and write stuff and produce stuff and walk into audition rooms during pilot season and screen tests and pilot tests and feel their empowerment and act from that place and create from that place. And that's really exciting, and that's cool, and that's what we want for you and with you. So just stick with us a little bit longer, and we're going to answer a few questions, and we're going to put up the code that you can use to get 50% off the playbook, and join us for that in a couple weeks. And we want you to do it now, because we want you to don't worry about it, have all your ducks in a row, and start the process now of taking command, expressing yourself, of your self-care, and figuring out a way to do the self-tape or the audition with as much clarity, specificity, confidence, and ease as possible. So let's answer some questions.
Frankie wants to know, what are the best places, websites to go on for pilot season auditions with no agent?
Some people will be posting on Actors Access and a few others, and we actually have a worksheet about that in the playbook where we talk about that some more. They're being announced in a number of different places now, casting, backstage, Actors Access, and so on. Also, if you have friends, this is something, somebody just did this, and I thought that was really cool. If someone I know has a friend who has an agent and is getting a lot of auditions, and she wasn't getting a lot of them, so she shared them, her friend shared them with her, and in a confidential way, and the friend self-taped for something and did a really great job, gave it to her friend. Her friend said, "Oh, you're much better for this than I am." She gave it to her agent. The agent submitted it. The actor got an audition from it. I don't know what happened after that. I didn't follow the story, but that was a way to be proactive. So you are in a community of people who hopefully will share some of those things with you, and there are some of the fairly standard websites where people can get that. Those pilots can be identified, and then these things start moving and floating around. These pilots are out there, so you can get your hands on them. Be creative. Ask for some sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
Any other
indeed.
thoughts about that?
No, I mean, look, there's all sorts of stories we hear, right, of people infiltrating the assistants and making those calls and doggedly pursuing the information they need.
Yeah, you don't want to stalk anybody, though. We've had some
Don't stalk anybody. Do it with love, but you can be persistent. Why not?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, like, they have a need. If 4 days before shooting, which happens sometimes, they don't have their leads. They need somebody. So you can be persistent, but always lead with the work. Don't be weird. Lead with I want an opportunity to do the work. And if you have a reel and all that stuff is shored up and in good shape, then you can offer that first. And it's a great way in. The other thing I'd say is that, so that's the short game of it. The long game of it is make your own work consistently.
Don't worry about that stuff.
And eventually the business comes around to you.
Yeah.
But those are all places to start.
And the other thing I would say in that, just so if you've created some work and if you've got a great reel, you can start getting that out to the casting people and to their offices as those things start up. And what happens is these casting directors get hired and they either work in their own offices or they get stuck in the back of some production office for the pilot, and they have assistants that they've just hired, and suddenly there's an opening there. And so your work, your wonderful work, some amazing thing that you've just created or done, or your great reel, you find ways to get that to them. We've seen all kinds of creative, interesting ways, where that happens, and then they will find you and get you the material. And that may seem like daunting, but it's actually effective in that there's a ton of stuff coming at them, but the right moment, the right time, at the beginning, the end, whatever the process is, don't be afraid to share of your good work for now and for later. And we talk a lot about that in the Career Coach, but there you have access. Believe that you have access.
Any other questions?
Yeah, a couple more.
Sure.
Do you need to have a reel to be taken seriously?
Yes.
Well, then, Risa, I'll ask the follow-up question. Well, then, Risa, I don't have a reel, so how do I get one?
Make one.
How do I make one?
Write some shit and tape it.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be cavalier about this, but
except in this day and age,
you have to. You actually do
shoot it.
Yeah, and we all know that people can make great stuff on their phones or with little cameras or however. But reels, just like the self-tape notion, reels are the place that people go to. In the old days, an actor would come into an agent's office or a casting director's office and sit down and do a scene from a play or do a monologue. And that's before we had technology to do this. That was the way that we got to figure out who you were, what your voice was, what was so great about you. But now you do have to have a reel, and that's what casting directors, casting executives, agents, managers, all sorts of people, directors will go to, and they want to see something quick and fast and strong, and you have to have that. And so you can make something, and you don't have to go make a huge feature film or even a web series. You can shoot a couple of scenes that you create. You can interpret some scenes from that are established already, and you can do some great work. Don't necessarily put self-tapes on your reel because they look like that, unless they're the kind of self-tapes we're talking about. But that's just, then people see you looking for work for other things that you maybe didn't get, and it's just the whole concept of that doesn't work. It may take you some time to do that, but what a great time, as now, to create some stuff to make your reel.
And really, 15 to 20 seconds of amazing work.
That's all people
You'd be
need.
surprised at what that does.
No, two heads of networks have said to us, all I need is 2 minutes of great work and I'll hire somebody to be a series regular. So
that's nuts, but also that's real life.
But they're looking for that. I mean, they're out there looking for that. And they don't really want to even watch an episode of their own show where somebody's like following along behind the lead of the show saying, doing a couple of lines. They want to see something extraordinary. And you can do that. You're capable of that. So make a reel. This is so cool. It's a great time to do that. I hope that answers the question without being too... Yeah.
A well-respected casting director in New York once told me the key to pilots in particular is not to act, but rather to be myself. To some degree, to play myself, because they are looking to cast a person and not an actor. What are your thoughts on this?
So, a New York casting director said to play yourself during pilot season and not to act. Yeah. I mean, that defines what acting is. And I think what this casting director was probably talking about is not to feel the pressure to come in and help it up and perform and do all this stuff. We were talking about this in class yesterday because we were doing some mock auditions, and one actor, did this huge tortured moment, and then the note that was given to her by a fellow actor who was directing the scene said, "That was all fantastic. Can you just do it at 5 times the speed?" And she did, and the whole thing just... all that stuff went away, all that acting went away. The thing is, in pilots, what people are hiring you for, and this is the honest truth about this, is for you to bring yourself so fully to this that America and the rest of the world wants to tune in every week to spend time with you. You're being hired for 7 years and counting to be yourself, to bring yourself to this story. And they have an idea of what that is, but the wonderful thing about pilots is that they're unformed and they're the beginnings of things, and they're sort of like these infant, embryonic concepts that need to be filled by personalities, by creatures, by human beings like yourself. So what you need to do is figure out a way to say, okay, I get this. This is my version of this, and bring yourself to that. That's what we've been talking about, just defining it in a way where you don't have to come in and present the breakdown or the idea in the script, or the idea of, like, I'm the best friend, or, I'm the tough guy, or I'm the hot girlfriend who also is super smart and is going to show everybody by the end of the pilot. Like, those are ideas. But if you bring yourself fully to it, exactly who you are, then people get to see and feel you, and that's what the networks are looking for. They're looking for fully fleshed human beings because they don't have fully fleshed characters on the page, and so that's what bringing yourself is to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, and also, I mean, actors will hear something from someone they consider to be a well-respected casting director in New York and think that it's true for every single case, and that this, that you're taking too much of this note. Another option may be, and we don't know what this person meant, is that there is an ease that must come in your work, particularly during pilot season, particularly for television. Not a lot of room to do anything but move the story forward in an interesting way, certainly. But yeah, if you're doing too much and bringing the all sorts of quote-unquote character choices, it might not serve the writing, and oftentimes television is a writer's forum, and so you have to show up with confidence and ease and be in that moment, certainly.
Yeah, and that's all part of the same thing of, right. Of not forcing it. Yeah.
We'll take one more. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Any suggestions to ensuring your demo reel and headshots are up to par and will catch the attention of casting directors?
That your demo reel, your reel, your headshots, and all that are up to par. Yeah.
We have all the thoughts on that. In fact, in the pilot season playbook, there's a massive section on that specifically. Yeah. And just to give you the basics of it, it comes down to presence and to not being presentational. And in a lot of those sort of marketing tools, they can amount to you trying to present yourself as something that you're not. And that comes from you not being happy with who you are. Yeah. So then the headshot has all of these wildly messy backgrounds and the big jewelry and the shirt that pops because you really want to stand out. It's you trying for something when really what moves someone on an emotional level is presence, particularly if they're scrolling through pages and pages of pictures.
Yeah, we also talk about this. Andy, can you just throw up the career coach link?
Sure.
Andy posting as Risa, as Andy. Because we talk about this in our career coach audios as well, because we feel so strongly about this and how to really show up fully as yourself in all of your materials. And while you're doing this, again, if you're still with us, which we hope you are, comment how pilot season makes you feel, and we're going to give away one more free pilot season playbook.
Oh shit!
We are. Yeah, we're going to do it right now. In 1 minute. So, how does pilot season make you feel? The idea, the concept, what we're talking about in one word. What feeling comes up? How are you triggered by it? Comment below, and you will be therefore eligible to be randomly chosen by Felipe to win a playbook, because we want you to have the support and. Yeah, so that's
in terms of your reel, again, real quick, what that manifests itself in your reel oftentimes is there's some fancy actor who's on the screen and you walk by, and that's all you do. But you include it in your reel because you want people to think that you're in and of the fanciness, as opposed to that student film that no one ever saw, but in which you do really wonderful, bold, present work. So some of it is weeding the garden of, are you being presentational here? Are you trying to impress? Or are you being, and that's certainly true of your headshot. Is it, look at me, and I'm going to get rid of some of these lines that make me who I am?
I get rid of a couple of them, but I keep most of them.
But talk about that, though, because there's a version of that which is, this is my best self, cleaned up. It's certainly different for women than it is for men in our society, but...
just a little more woke.
Awoke? Awoken?
Awaken. Yeah. A little more alert, that's all.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to look like you're going to your red carpet version of yourself, because nobody even knows what that looks like, and everybody we know on the red carpet wants to rip all that shit off as soon as they can. But we want, listen, when I'm scrolling through those 100 pictures a page for 10 pages for every role, the thing that pops out for me in a headshot is the human being, is somebody who's present and themselves and has character in their face and their lives. And that we see that. I don't mean like be a character. I mean the life that you have in your face, in your eyes. That's what stops the scroll. Right. So that's what we want to see all the time. And the same thing in your work. I mean, again, it's about you showing up fully as yourself and not being afraid of that. No matter how old you are, or how beautiful you think you are, or how overweight you may fear that you are, or what you think an agent or a manager or a casting director has told you or wants from you. They ultimately always want to see you fully.
Well, we're giving away another PSP.
The winner is Chris Homstad.
Chris Homstad.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Chris. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
And we're happy to share that with you. And what is Chris's feeling that was posted?
Here. He's had a couple of them. Wonderful feelings. Hopeful was the last one.
Hopeful. Mm-hmm. We're hopeful too.
And once again, just to underline this point, turn that hope to action. And be a creative warrior in the next 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay hopeful and do something about it.
Yeah.
So will you also email us at info@BraemanGarciaBraun.com, and we will get you your pilot season playbook that starts on January 22nd. Andy, would you post again?
Absolutely.
As Risa, as Andy, info@BraemanGarciaBraun.com. And by the way, you guys can all email us there and ask us any more questions that you may have, that you may think of later. We're happy to answer them. We feel strongly about this, and we want to engage with you here at the studio and online. And what we're going to do right now is also post, Felipe, Andy, whoever's going to do it, the promo code that you can use and the page to go to to get the pilot season playbook at 50% off.
That's right, and it's already at the top in the comments.
Cool. It's up there now.
It's in the description. It's at the top, pinned at the top of the comments, and Andy's going to post it now again as Risa, as Andy, and so you have it in a number of places. And if you can't find it, email us at info@BraemanGarciaBraun.com, and we'll give it to you, and it will be available for 1 more hour.
Yeah, so
at that price.
Go get the pilot season playbook and be part of this community over the next 3 months. That's going to engage in a warrior-like level of creative output, with or without the industry, and one is going to serve the other. So join us.
So anyway, you guys, thanks for spending some time with us this Friday. We're here at the BGB studio for you and with you and online, and we're excited about the next few months.
Yeah.
Be active, find your power, express yourself, and we'll see you.
Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
Friday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.